Texas was part of Mexico, and the second president of Mexico in 1820s was African. He was the descendant of slavery. The second president, freed Mexico from slavery, from Spain, pushed the Spanish out. He was so popular they made him president. And the president that created freedom in North America before Lincoln was this man, Guerrero, and he outlawed slavery before America. And the one place making so much money on slavery, sorry to say this about your home state, they make so much money on slavery was a little section that decided it was too much for them, and they left Mexico for this reason and joined the United States, and that's Texas. The reason Texas exists today is because it joined voluntarily a place where slavery was still supported. I'm just trying to give it more and more undisputable examples of why racism is factually, scientifically just stupid.
Man, what's happening? L.A.R. movement still moving. Shout out to John Hope Bryant. Uh, here's the thing about Black history we don't say. They don't tell the whole story. Vicente Guerrero, got killed in Mexico for quote unquote treason, basically because he wasn't white. So all of that to fight off the Spanish, and then Texas, the rest of Texas, that was Mexico, to say, hey, man, we want slavery. And then he's the president of Mexico, and they kill him because you ain't white. That's how that goes. These are some uncomfortable truths about Black America in America, or even in North America, right? If you want to do that. One, there was slavery in the North, okay? And people go, oh, slavery in the South. No, I think slavery started in Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken. So this idea, oh, slavery, is the mean people of the South. No, they just couldn't grow a lot of stuff in the, when they call the upper East Coast. There was slavery in New York. There was slavery in Massachusetts. You get what I'm saying? Go down. Pennsylvania, So when you got to Virginia, because Virginia's considered the South, Virginia's right next to Maryland. You can grow crops, so that's why Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, either rice or tobacco, something like that. It's probably but that's a reality in Black America, of Black America, is the fact that at the end of the day, slavery was in the North, the South, the East, and the West. They like to act like it wasn't, the Midwest. They like to act like, oh no, it wasn't. It was just those mean people. Crazy work, but it's BS. Okay. Think about Texas keeping slavery. Texas, you know how big Texas is? Part of Texas is considered the West. That's why they call it West Texas. That's an issue. The second thing is people lie about the infrastructure of America. I know they did that thing where there was a time the Asians built the railroads. Well, and this goes with the whole immigrant conversation about immigrants built America. What y'all do is people do things in a specific part of the country, and then y'all act like, oh, it was done all over the country. So when they say, immigrants built America, a lot of times they're talking about New York, because Black people basically laid the foundation for the infrastructure in building New York. And then in the 1900s, basically, the Ellis Island thing happened, and there was immigrants helping build, buildings in New York from that point on, with everybody else, with the Black folks, right? So that's a BS thing. And going back to the railroad thing. Matter of fact, the railroad and infrastructure. Every time you see a movie that's set in Jim Crow, pretty much every time you see a movie set in Jim Crow, you see black men in prison stripes on the side of the road clearing the brush, or they're on the train tracks, hammering away. So much so, think about this. Like even when people say Chinese built the railroads, right? There's no Chinese John Henry. That's for a reason. That's for a reason. Now, let's go to another aspect of the things that, since people tell half the story. People love to discredit Black American, let's just say heroes, after they're dead. Martin Luther King was cheating on his wife. Y'all could never prove it. Y'all went to Malcolm X having a lover in jail. Y'all could never prove it. Because it's not true. I'm just saying this is how y'all discredit stuff. You get what I'm saying? To the point where, y'all are trying to rewrite what was going on in Jim Crow. The civil rights movement, those people, they didn't, they were selling out to the white folks. Somebody said the bus boycott was BS. I'm like, wait a minute now. You could have had our own buses. We did have our own buses. They was in Carolina. You forget that part though, because you only, people are trying to rewrite Black history. So now, to rewrite it, you got to disparage the people in it. That, and sometimes, sometimes people don't add the context to the story. Like, okay, people use OJ history as, staying against Black people, right? But they never say three things in succession. They never say Nicole Brown Simpson, and I forgot the other guy. They basically had ties to mafia drug dealers, right? And they owed mafia drug dealers money. But it's OJ. They never say that the like one of the gardener or something like that, or the handyman, was a serial killer who had a type, and Nicole Brown Simpson was one of those, was matched that type. They never say that. They never say, hey man, what's the name? Furman basically is a racist cop who tried to plant, who got caught lying and planting evidence and trying to set OJ up. That's really the reason why. That was really one of the major reasons why he was acquitted. And that dude is still alive, and he's like in Idaho at like a white supremacist camp. They never say stuff like that because everything has to be out of context. Because, what about facts? Doesn't matter. Let's do another one. When they go, because let's go back in history. And they go, Black people owned slaves in America. Right. Okay. So let's since we're gonna go down this rabbit hole, during slavery, when Black people owned slaves in America, who were the slaves that they were buying? Because either they had to buy, because 9 times out of 10 they had to buy themselves out of slavery. And that was a feat in its own self. Buy themselves to free themselves, because it was difficult to free yourself, and you couldn't free yourself and then come back and buy somebody. Understood? So who were they buying? It's well known and well documented. Usually they're family members. They were buying their family members out of slavery into freedom. But at that point, because they bought a slave, they were considered a slave master. But y'all go, no. They were buying. Black people had slaves. Black people had to buy their family members freedom. Don't act like you don't understand that. Don't act like, oh, I never thought about it. Hell, half of y'all, a lot of y'all people who play that game, y'all watch Django, the one with Jamie Foxx. I forget. Broomhilda was his wife's name. He had to buy. He was on a mission to buy his wife, who was a slave. That's what that was. That's what the movie basically was about. Luckily he got sidekick, but basically he got enough money to buy his wife. And if he would have bought her successfully without all the shenanigans, she would have been bought as a slave. And then you could say Django was, and you're gonna get somebody. Django would have been a slave owner. See, y'all never actually do full context when it comes to Black history. Y'all people got dumb all of a sudden. Oh, you try to be dumb and think people don't know the other side. I'm really wanting to cuss, so that's why I pause. I'm sorry. There comes a point where if you want to really learn history, you got to learn all of it. And I'm not, disrespecting anybody, but when I'm saying it, because people like to play games like, oh, do you know how this is? You don't know why this is? Because people like to discredit Black history instead of credit Black history. You get what I'm saying? So much of what you consider American culture is really Black American culture that it ain't even funny. You realize how many Black federal holidays there are? You don't. You don't. Martin Luther King Day, 1. Memorial Day, 2. Juneteenth, 3. And I'm pretty sure Labor Day has a Black reference. I'm pretty sure of it. I ain't 100% sure, but it's 12 months in a year, and let me look it up now. Yeah, Labor Day, as labor activists, campaign for better working conditions, fair wages, and reasonable hours during the Industrial Revolution. Yeah. The purpose, the day serves to honor contributions of American workers and the labor movement of the nation's economic strength and standard of living. Hmm. And it says what is the true origin? The true origin is unknown. And when sometimes there's like, what is the true origin of Labor Day? The exact origins of Labor Day are unknown, but scholars typically credit either 2 labor union officials, uh, Peter McGuire and Matthew McGuire, with the idea. Boy, oh boy. When they say something unknown, I could bet on it. But I'm gonna leave it alone. But tell the whole story. That's all I'm saying. Like, matter of fact, before I do that, let me Google it again. Labor Day Black History. Labor Day, established in 1894, had a complex history regarding Black workers who were often excluded from white-led unions. Oh my goodness. So that's 1894. And this says 1882. Oh boy, oh boy. 1885 too. I'm done. I'm done. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm done. I'm done. Because it's funny how even racism is in Labor Day. I knew. All right, I'm done. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.